When this
Mm-hmm.
life
Mm-hmm.
ends, I'm going to stand
Mm-hmm.
before my maker and he's going to ask me, what did you do with what I
Mm,
gave you? I gave you
mm.
life. I gave you opportunity. I gave you abilities. I gave you talents. I gave you people around you. What did you do with that? I want that conversation to go well.
You
Yes.
get in, you do all the things, and maybe you're successful at what it is for that company, but you're miserable inside because
Yeah.
that's not your calling. That's not your purpose. Ask that question too. Once you figure out
Yes.
all the things you need to know about that company, now you need to ask the question about you. Just because someone hires you, you may be a good fit for the company, but the company may not be a good fit for you.
First of all, forget about perfection. It's not possible. We can't do it. That's not the standard. The standard is faithfulness. That I can do. I can get up every day. I can go at it. I can fail. I can try again. That I can do.
Welcome to Hindsight Podcast. I'm Lee Jones, your host. And look, what does it really mean to build a legacy of significance when the rules keep changing at work and at home? Today, I have with me Dr. Mark L. Teague. He is a seasoned finance executive, entrepreneur, and author with a PhD in agricultural economics, rising from farmhand to boardroom while championing the American working class. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Thank you for that intro. That's fantastic. That sets us up quite well.
Hey, I tried to go with a simple one. You've done a lot of things. The education one thing, going from farmhand to the boardroom. So I'd love to jump into that experience and what that looked like. But really, this is hindsight. And when you think back to the farm, like what belief about work or character still guides your decisions today?
Oh, it guides me deeply, Lee. It's that old-fashioned, traditional American experience. It's very simple. You don't work, you don't eat. It's not
Yeah.
complicated at all. It's very straightforward. If you don't get your work done, your income suffers immediately. You can see it right in front of you. So that incentive is very clear, very visceral, very tangible. And then that was a major experience for us is when you go from that environment to the corporate environment, there's nothing straightforward. It's very, very
Yeah.
convoluted, very, you've got every agenda you can imagine, which is what most people face in their work life. You get out on the farm and ranch, it's very straightforward. You get into the boardroom, it's anything but straightforward. And that was a very formative experience, and that drives my viewpoint today. It drives the reason for the book. I think there are some things that people need to hear in this modern world. How you handle change, how can you go about it such that you actually get something done, you actually achieve a goal. So that's a key message. I thank you for that introduction. That is absolutely correct. It's something we need to rediscover.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I appreciate that. So, looking back once again in hindsight, were you a kid who grew up on a farm, or was that a job that you took on later on in your earlier life? How did that play out?
It was the first, yeah. Our family was farm and ranch. They were homestead families that came out turn of the century and wagons and on the railroads and
Wow.
homesteaded.
Yeah.
And so farming and ranching was the family business on both sides for myself and my wife. And the entire community was built around farm and ranch agriculture. So that was our environment. That's all we knew for a long time.
Right, right. And what made you decide to kind of veer away? Because you got to think, if it was a family thing, generational type of living, right? What made you decide to kind of pivot and go into the boardroom direction? And I know it wasn't right directly to the boardroom, but
Yes.
made you make that pivot.
It was a major career change. And that's a great question, a very important one. It was simply this basic economics. It's a thing every family faces. You realize early living on love is a great sentiment, but it's hard to have a home without a livelihood. And
Yeah.
this was 1986, is when Melissa and I were married. Farm economy was tough, cash flow was tight. So that great migration of labor away from agriculture into other areas. That's been true for a very long time. Melissa and I became part of that. So it was basic economics. It We were looking at our family budget. It was becoming very tight and not looking good. So we sat down and made some tough choices. That led us to graduate school. Went back to graduate school. I
Mm,
earned a doctorate in economics, agricultural economics to be specific. That led us to banking and finance career. I dropped the ag piece. I kept the econ piece, and we built a career from there. But it was fundamental economics that drove that. Just the returns to labor were
yeah.
becoming very thin. So we made a change, and it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of fortitude, a lot of dedication, but it turned out very well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You said you had to make some tough decisions going through that time period. How was your mindset? And I ask these questions just to dig a little deep into the mindset of individuals who had to overcome certain adversity, right? And then now you're sitting in a place of I don't know whatever word you want to use, fulfillment, satisfaction, success.
Yeah,
But what was the mentality for you going through it, realizing that, hey, the budget's not adding up. We got to do something different. And maybe
yes,
even consider this. What was the first, like, this might actually work moment in your shift from agriculture to finance?
sure. That's another great question. And let me offer, first of all, a context, a principle that I think will
Okay.
help your audience a great deal. When you're facing stress, when you're facing pressure, you're in a difficult environment, you feel overwhelmed, you don't know what to do. There's one principle you always want to fall back on, and that is simplify. Simplify. A huge
Mm,
mistake that many people make is they look at problems and it seems unsolvable. You're actually looking at five or six problems. You've allowed things to aggregate. Several problems have balled up together. You want to disassemble that. You want to break a problem down into its separable components and then prioritize, simplify, and then work on the most important one or two, three at the most, because you have
yeah.
limited time, limited resources. And that's what we did. And that's what we've done for years. We've developed that habit over the years. So we applied it here. So in that circumstance, in 1986, actually, we'd been married about 2 years. We had two things going on that were our main livelihood. It was tied to our culture, our environment. You're exactly right. We had very deep roots there. But the cash flow was continually getting more tight. So we needed to change. Well, there was a key moment. There was about a 2 minute conversation with Melissa and I. We had been lightly discussing several things for several months. And she said, Mark, our budget is becoming untenable. It
Mm,
doesn't look good. That lit a fire in me. It said, okay, no more limits, no more boundaries, clean the table, blank slate. We're going to change whatever is necessary to give us a different path, a different future. And that put us on a very different course across the country and a very different career. But it made us do our best. We put out our very best effort, our very best approach, intense problem solving, intense skill development, intense career development, and it's paid out very, very well. So I would say that
wow.
to your audience. When you're facing problems, simplify. Go back to don't let problems aggregate, break it down into its components, attack the top one or two, the most important, and just work down the list systematically. You'll be amazed at what a difference that will make. When I see someone that's overwhelmed and in despair, they've let a whole bunch of problems look like one problem. And that's never
Mm,
the case. Break it down into its pieces, attack them one at a time. You will get an answer and you will be different. It will change you. You will go about life differently. But that's what living is about. It's doing your
yeah.
best, not being overwhelmed, not being overcome. But that's the key. If you feel overwhelmed by problems, it's probably six or eight problems that you've allowed
Yeah.
to bind together into one big one. Break that down, simplify, take them one at a time. You will have a different life if you do that.
That is a great message. And I tell you what, I read a book, I can't remember the name of it, but it talked about WIGs, wildly important goals, right? And one of
Yes.
those, one of mine that I put out to my team is simplification. Let's just keep it
Yes,
simple.
sir.
Let's not get overwhelmed. So I appreciate that
Yes.
reiteration. I may have to play this interview to the team so that they hear that this is absolutely the way
It's
to
very
focus
important.
on it, right? Because
Very
things get
important.
complicated, but when you sit back and you really look at certain things, not everything, some things are absolutely complicated, right? But when you look at most things, you can break it down, to your point, into smaller
Yes.
segments, simplify
Yes.
it, and attack those things with vigor. So I absolutely
It's
appreciate
critical.
that.
That's a
Yeah.
critical piece. In fact, that idea is a theme that is important around finding success in this changing world. So when you seem overwhelmed with change, here's the key. And Melissa and I live this over the course of our life. It's embedded in our mindset, in our DNA. You need to reach back to principles that are deep, abiding, bedrock, foundational. Reach back to those and bring them into a modern application. So when we crossed over, we were in a traditional American environment, very traditional cultures and values. You go to the modern world, well, everything is fluid, everything is up in the air. I found myself, I needed to perform with a team. I needed a team to perform and get things done. So what I found myself doing was reaching back to old-fashioned principles, those old-fashioned values, bring them into the now, to the modern world, and apply them right now. That's very effective. That wipes out the noise. It takes out the unproductive noise that goes on, gets you focused on your objective. You can get things done here and now using those old-fashioned values applied today. It works really, really well.
Yeah, not only the old-fashioned values, but I hear that you are a religious man. So
Yes.
explain to us or talk to us a little bit about how your faith helps you to, make those critical decisions and helps you to maneuver through some of the challenges and some of the wins in life.
Yes. Well, the heart of it is you need a foundation. Everyone needs to
Hmm.
stop and ask yourself, what do you stand on? What's your foundation? Because life is going to run right over you. Some people will coddle you and tell you everything's great. No, life is going to beat the crap out of you. Life is not easy. There's nothing
Yeah.
easy about it. So stop thinking you're owed something. You're owed absolutely nothing. You're going to have to face the difficulties in life and get something done. What do you stand on? What's your foundation? What's your guidepost? What is your North Star? You need something. The unbeliever, the atheist will say, well, it's me. I'm my
Mm.
reference point. I just say, good luck. Good luck. I've never found that to be adequate. I'm flawed.
Yeah.
I have weaknesses. If I make myself the reference point, I just circle right back around to my weaknesses. I haven't gained a
Yeah.
thing. I need something deeper than that. So I look to things that are eternal. I need something that was here before I got here and that will be here after I'm gone, something that abides. That takes me to faith. Yes, my
Mm.
standard, my North Star, my guidepost, it's the God of the Hebrews. It's the
Mm.
Almighty. The
Yeah.
scriptures, that's where I go to see that guidepost, that North Star, that bedrock, that foundation that is immovable. And I build my life on that. Absolutely. And I would
Yeah.
encourage all of your listeners to do the same. The bottom line
Yeah.
is you need something bigger than you. What is that? Think carefully about that because that's what you're going to fall back on when times get tough. Is it adequate? The
Mm.
God of the Hebrews, it is more than adequate. I assure you, it will carry you through all difficult times, all rough places. There's immense, immeasurable, unlimited amounts of wisdom, grace, insight, joy, peace, comfort, contentment. It's all there. Everything is there that you need, but you need to choose to walk in it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the book. Tell us the name of the book. What motivated you to write the book, and what do you hope that the readers get from it?
Yes. Well, here it is, A Working Man's Guide. And you can find that the website's the title of workingmansguide.com. Just drop the apostrophe, spell it all out, and that'll take you right to it. The impetus is straightforward the American working class. I have a passion, a deep passion for the American working class. We've always been a working class nation. We always will be a working class nation. We need to just explicitly embrace that. That's when the working class does well. America does well. If the working class struggles, we struggle as a nation. That's a fundamental fact. So let's just pursue that directly. And I need to elaborate. Working class is not defined by income. We need to get away
Mm.
from that. We need
Okay.
a literal definition. The working class is the class that is working. That's what defines it. Whether you have a little bit and you're trying to grow that, or whether you have a lot and financially and you're trying to maintain it, the principles are the same.
Yeah.
They're not different. They're the same. You're doing the same things. And I can speak to that from a personal experience. Melissa and I have had very tight budgets. We've been poor as church mice. We've had a little, we've had medium amounts, and we've had a lot. We're doing the same things. The same principles drive us through every bit of that all along the way. And when you talk
Yeah.
about income and working class, you're just creating class warfare. You're talking about things that divide us. We need to focus on the things that unite us. And those are the principles underneath. That applies to all income levels across all types. That is for the working class, the class that is working.
Yeah.
That's quite important.
Yeah. 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 All right. So I'm gonna get into some questions now, and so you can help me help others out who are listening. So they're really specific questions.
Yes, sir.
But what's a decision science principle that you rely on that a frontline worker or new manager can apply tomorrow? I'll say today, tomorrow. I'll say tomorrow. Maybe I'll just say today. Some people do work on the weekends. But
Yes.
what's a principle that they can apply today?
I'll tell you what, Lee, another great question. I could get very technical here. I'm going to keep this very simple and straightforward. Here it is. Don't work the blob, work the
Okay.
frame. Let me explain what that means. When life brings a problem to you, whether it's technical, whether it's engineering, whether it's a life issue, whether it's a medical issue, marriage, it just comes as a blob. It just drops in your lap. It's
Mm,
undefined, it's shifting, it's amorphous, and it's threatening. Just imagine that visit to the doctor's office. You hear the word you don't want to hear, which is cancer.
mm,
It just
mhm,
drops in your lap, and all of a sudden you have a massive problem you have to deal with. Well, all throughout history, and the core of decision science is don't work the blob, frame it, put a frame around that problem, and then work against that frame. You're basically defining that problem, you're putting structure around it, and you're going to work against that structure. That will bring progress. That will bring confidence. You will develop skills as you do that.
mhm,
So you need to accept that life is a series of problems coming your way. Just accept that and build skills to deal with it. You know, we got an attitude in our society today that says problems are beneath me. It's a hassle. I don't want to have to deal with it. If problems come my way, it's somebody else's fault. I'm going to blame them for that. No,
mhm,
that's just life. That's life. Life is a series of problems coming your way. If you don't accept that, you're a child. You're not a
mm,
serious adult. You cannot be relied upon. You cannot be depended upon. Once you accept that, now you have a serious mind. You can work with others. You can solve problems. You don't think you're too good for it. You don't
yeah,
think you're above it. You're willing to get in, buckle down, go to work, and bring solutions to the table. That's an adult. That's a serious mind. The first
yeah,
sign is humility. You humble yourself, you're willing to lock in. The longer term sign that you've accepted the nature of life as a series of problems is you develop skills. You look for principles. You look for those deeper things in life because you need those as tools. You need to
mhm,
grab those. That's all the way from concepts to ideas to very technical. I'm trained in analytics, economics, and optimization, statistics, econometrics. That's my training. I applied that in business planning throughout my career. That served me well. Everyone will have something they like better. Some will like social sciences. Some will like
yeah,
marketing. Some will like engineering. Some will like the medical field. Pick a field, get technically very good at it. That increases your problem solving, and then add the people skills, the social skills, the soft skills, the management skills. Then you will have a very good career. But through it all, it's problem solving. So that's what I would say in terms of decision science application. Don't work the blob. That's the way a
right,
problem drops into your lap. Work the frame. Put a frame
mm,
around that problem and work that systematically, you will find progress. You will find an answer.
Hey, I asked you, was that quote? Is that quote in your book?
Yes,
Do you have
yes,
a?
it is.
Okay, because I'm about to write that on my bulletin board. Don't work the blob, work the
That's
frame. Like
chapter
that's
one.
yeah,
Chapter
that's
one. Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the book is titled about working men. So my
Yep.
perception is many working men feel squeezed. Wages,
Yes.
time, expectations. What's
Yes.
one habit that creates some breathing room?
Well, I would say a couple ideas that are really important there, Lee. Here's another mistake that is commonly made in career development and gaining an income and looking at how you're going to pay the bills, etc. You need to understand that when you're sitting there in your apartment, in your car, you're sitting on the sidewalk in a park, wherever you happen to be, and you're thinking about income, productivity, how to have a livelihood, you need to understand that there are some 260 million consumers in this country. They have a vote. They have a say. You don't get to determine that by yourself. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
understand that the value side of the equation is determined by the customer. On the production side, you determine cost, design, and quality, but the customer determines value. So there are many people today that are thinking about income. They think it's strictly their choice. No, you need to look around you and see what's being valued. The
Yeah.
other side of that is the consumer side. That's where the value is placed. The consumer is going to say, well, I value this, I don't value that. They're going to say that. You need to account for that. Bring that in directly into your decision making. That's quite important. The second piece after that, skill development. Skill
Okay.
development. Get all the skills. Pick some area that you like. Get as good as you possibly can. Those two things are quite important.
Yeah. Those are good ones. So you didn't say empathy, but you said you're human, your soft skills, um, being humble. I think empathetic. I'll just throw that one in there. I just said it.
Yes, sir.
Um, how important is that? How important from your perspective is understanding those people skills and then applying them in your relationships in the workplace? Like how essential is that piece?
Man, it would be hard to overstate how important that is. You need to connect. There's a section in my book in chapter 6. I go through the workplace and they're line out two things side by side. The history of economic development speaks to directly how economies have developed over time. And it's thousands of years of history. And then I line out beside that, what's the nature of the workforce in those changes? So as an economy develops and more wealth is created, and you start with tribal nomadic, the most primitive,
Hmm.
Stone Age, the most primitive start of mankind. You're hunting, you're killing, you eat what you kill, the most basic fundamental activities. And then you go to today's knowledge economy. You step through that. There are steps that virtually every economy has taken. Well, you can track the workforce alongside that. What's the change in labor and the demands? And the change is you go from individual effort to teamwork. And you
Yeah.
see that shift over time. And what becomes crystal clear, Lee, is that as an economy develops, whatever is ahead of us, and I think it's space, I think it's very clear. Our economy is going to reach off this planet. That's already
It has
underway.
to. Yeah.
It's happening. But what happens to the workforce, the labor force? What are the demands of there? It's going to be teamwork all the way down. So those soft skills, that ability to connect, to be empathetic and to relate to people around you, it is unending. It is embedded now in the workforce. You have to be part of a team. So again, when
Mm,
you're that individual sitting there wondering, how am I going to make a living? Understand some things. A, consumer determines value, not you.
mm,
B,
mhm,
you're going to determine the production side, which is cost, design, and quality. And the last piece, you will be working on a team. You will be
mm,
a part of a group, and there will be people around you. There are virtually no roles anymore that are lone wolf. That changed in the Industrial Revolution. So before that, it was very much individual effort. That began to shift during the Industrial Revolution. That has gone away now. It's all teamwork. And it's hard to see anything in the future that does not demand that. So your question about empathy, if you don't have it, you better get it, because you're going to have to relate to the people around you. You can't do much by yourself. You need a
Yeah.
team of people around you.
All right. So look, I don't want you to get hung up on this word, because some people take this word literal. Some people, want to dice it up. I've never had one. But what's a failure that you're grateful for now, and what did it teach you about resilience?
Oh boy, that's a great one. I'm going to have to sort that out a little bit, simplify, if you will.
Yeah.
That first one, I'm going to go to the first one in our marriage.
Okay.
Our family, it was that notion of livelihood. So we were doing what our families had always done. We had many, many relatives, had very deep roots in that area, and the budget just simply was not. It simply was not working. The cash flow was increasingly getting tight, and it's. I could talk endlessly about markets and the conditions in agriculture at the time, but the signals were very clear: reduced demand for labor in agriculture, increased
Mm,
demand for technology in agriculture. That was very
right.
clear. So we had to face that and decide how we went about that. Well, my choices in how to do that just were not panning out. It wasn't working. I had to face that. I had to be honest about it. And that one conversation with my wife it crystallized the whole thing. And it wasn't a long conversation. It was about 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes at the most.
Mhm.
And it lit a fire in me. I realized what I was doing was not working. I had to face up to that and make a change. So that failure led to great change, great success. I'm very happy with it. The last thing we wanted to do was leave that community. It actually
Mm,
turned out to be the best thing for us. We became our own family unit. We became our own independent unit, and our marriage was stronger. Our family was stronger. We thought it would make us weaker. It was just the opposite.
mm.
It made us stronger than ever before, and it was out of failure that took place.
Yeah. Yeah. So you speak about your wife very, very fondly. I got a quick question. Who
Yeah.
instigated that 2-minute conversation? Was it her saying, look, Mark, we got to get this right? Or did you just sit down and you got kicked in the butt, early in her day, and there was an aha moment? Like, who instigated that conversation?
Your first statement is correct. It was her. She said, "This is not working. We need to change." And I knew right then. I'm thinking, okay, everything's different now. And it was not
I
anger.
know
It was
that.
not, this is not a conflict or a
Yeah.
fight. She was just very straightforward. Here are the facts. We need to
Yeah.
change it. My mind was immediately clarified. Everything was mentally very clear at that point. So yeah, it was her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That that's awesome. That's awesome. I just remember a conversation. Heck, it was just the other day. I think it was last week. And my wife said do something. I did the other thing. It was something dealing with driving, right? And the way I went was the wrong way. So she was like, "You need to start
Yeah.
listening to me." I'm like, "You're absolutely right. I need to start
Yep.
listening more." So
That's
that's a
right.
great conversation. So how do you spoke on it a little bit, but I want you to get a little deeper for us. How do you keep traditional values alive in modern workplaces without becoming rigid or dismissive of change?
Yes. Oh man, that's such a rich question.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the heart of the answer.
Uh-huh.
This guidepost, this foundation that I've chosen, he's
Mhm.
alive. It's
Mm,
living and breathing.
yeah.
This is not a dead set of rules we're talking about here. It's not a set of rules in concrete that are lacking empathy or lacking application today. The God that we
Mhm.
serve is a living God. it's
Yeah.
uh it's just as fresh and alive today as it was the day he said it, however many years ago when it was written
Mhm.
down. So the creator of the universe is not lacking in innovation or creativity or imagination. It's all there for us to see and use it. So
Right.
that's really the heart of it. Just get away from, first of all, forget about perfection. It's not possible. We can't
Yeah.
do it. It's That's not the standard. The standard is faithfulness. That I can do. I can get
Mhm.
up
Mhm.
every day. I can go at it. I can fail. I can try again. That I can do. Perfection, I can't do that. It's not possible. So don't expect that of yourself. Don't expect that of others. Failure is going to happen. We're not after perfection. We're after faithfulness. That's the calling, not perfection. The calling is faithfulness. That's what we've been called to. We can do that. So in terms of that, how do you apply age-old principles? It's because they're not dead letter scripts. It's
Mm,
not something etched in stone meant to control people. It's meant to inspire. It's meant to instruct, inform. You know, if you go to Exodus 20 and you read the 10 Commandments, when God spoke those, he's not giving top-down rules. He's giving you the roadmap for the soul, the
yeah.
structure, the blueprint, how we're
Hmm.
made. That's what he's giving to us. When we abide by those and we apply those in everyday principles, life is better for everyone. It's better
Yeah.
for all of us because we're made that way. We're built that way. So that's the key. If you just want to resurrect old rules and apply them in a mean spirited way, well, that's called legalism. That's a failure. It doesn't work. Uh, if you want to live without principle, that's called license. That fails too. There are
Hmm.
boundaries. There are guideposts. There are bar ditches that keep us on the country lane that we're on. So if you recognize that and apply that in a living, fresh way, that's very positive, very healthy. It makes for a good life.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, here's a good one. You're an analytical guy.
Yep.
What's your process for making clear choices when data is messy and timelines are short?
You do the
Happens
best you
all the
can.
time. I
Yes,
love it.
sir. You
I
do the
love
best
that.
you
Go ahead.
can with the information you have. You make your decision, you move forward. That's all you can do. We always have limited information. We never have everything in front
Mm,
of us that you need to know. And I am a data guy. I keep everything all the time. It's never enough. You never have enough, but you make the best decision you can. You be very diligent with the information you have. You do that in confidence and you move forward. Now, that's how you do it. And now you continually adjust as you go, but don't get
yeah.
wrapped up and locked down and I need to know something else. Well, if you can know it, get it. If you can't, don't worry about it. You make the best decision you can with the information you have and move forward.
And that was a personal question for me because I did suffer from that, just trying to get more information, and delaying making a decision, making a choice, right? And then eventually you come to, well, everyone doesn't, but you hopefully come to understand that you're, to your point, you're never going to have all the information. And you
Nope.
make decisions
Nope.
based on what you have. And after 26 years in the military as well, for me, you definitely have to work in that mindset because
Yes.
things are in a
Yes.
split second sometimes,
Need to
right?
move
So
ahead.
exactly. So that is a wonderful bit of advice. Just make the best decision and then pivot when you have to. Like if you get new
Yes.
information, you don't have to stay stuck on that decision. Like let's adjust a little bit
Yeah.
because I didn't know that. So now we can
Yeah.
we can adjust, and people fail to do that as well. So anywho, I
Yes, that's
appreciate
correct.
that one. Yeah.
I tell you what, Lee,
So
here's a key idea. Let me add to that. The
yeah.
take an exercise. Here's an exercise for your listeners. Take a piece of paper and write down all the things that you control.
Mm,
Actually control. I mean, you can guarantee the outcome. Just think about it. It's a short list, a
very.
very short list. We can't even guarantee our next breath.
Yeah.
You and I can't guarantee that we'll end the day today or that
Yeah.
we'll wake up in the morning. So let's dispense with the notion of control. We don't have much. I would offer this proposal. We only control one thing. It's what I say and do right now in the moment. I control that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, truly
Yeah.
control. Have full, absolute control over. I can guarantee the outcome. It's what I say and do right now. And that's pretty much
Mm,
it. But
that's it.
that's enough. That's enough. It's because we're put here in this earth as stewards, not sovereign lords. We're put here as a steward to take care of what has been given us. We're not here to be an absolute tyrannical ruler. We're not given that
Hmm.
authority. Our life can end just like that in the next
Hmm.
moment. So how much do you really control? What I'm saying and doing right now, I'll control that. That allows me to be a stewardship over a steward over the things that have been given to me in a stewardship fashion. That's a very two different paths of living, as a sovereign Lord or a steward. If you
Yeah.
approach life as a steward, you're going to be far more productive, far more effective, because now you're doing the best you can at every moment. You're not worried about the things you don't know. You're not worried
Mm.
about the things you can't control, which includes every other human being. You're not trying to master everything around you because you can't do that anyway. You can
Mm.
just do your best with what you have right in front of you. That's a very effective, a very good life. The path of control, that sovereign Lord. You know, if you had to pick a poem that defines the West, especially America, it's Invictus, by Henley. I am the
Mhm.
captain of my soul. Well,
Mhm.
just think about what you really control. It's it's what I say and do right now. I don't control anything else.
Yeah.
Well, that turns you into a steward. Now you can go to work and be effective. If you try to be a sovereign lord, you're just going to fail over and over and over again and be very frustrated. So take the right mindset, take the right approach.
I like that. All right, so we get pulled in all different directions. We've discussed this already. We got family matters, we got work matters, we got business, finance, all these different things. But what is a daily or weekly practice that helps you reconnect with purpose when you feel spread thin?
Oh, another great question. You have a whole list of them. I'm
I'm gonna
impressed.
stop in a second.
I love them. Please keep going. You know, what's most important to me would be two things: my family and my integrity. I want to be
Mm,
known as a man committed to his family. First of all, marriage. That marriage is the closest thing to heaven we're going to see on this earth. It is the
mm,
symbol. It is offered as the symbol of Christ and his bride, Christ and the church. It is the closest thing to heaven we will see on this planet. That is of utmost importance to me. And integrity. I want to be known as an honest man. I told the truth. I said and did what I honestly believed to be right at the time with the information that I had. So those two things drive me. I fall back on those things as a fallback principle. So when life gets hectic and the whirlwind starts, I go back to those fundamental foundational things.
yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. That's yeah. That's good. I mean, you talk about your. You didn't say goalpost. What did you say? Is it goal? It's not goalpost. It's your
Guideposts, the
guidepost.
guideposts
Yeah,
are
you talk.
North Star. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you talk about that, man, and that is, we kind of blast through it really quick, but that is almost essential, right?
Yes.
Because the world
Yes.
gets confusing, and we talked about simplicity, and
Yes.
simplicity is having your, when I was in the military, we did land nav training,
Hmm.
right? So land navigation, and one of the things that they told us, one is, you know how to plot a map, but trust your pace count. Trust
Hmm.
your compass. And the thing is, like, you'll plot it and you know what your goal is and you know where you're going, right? And you'll start to walk and you know you should be getting close to achieving your goal, which is finding that point, that next point, but you don't see it. And you start to panic and you
Yep.
start to, but they always said to trust your pace count. Just keep going. And sure enough, what they did in the military or what they did in this training exercise is they would have it in hidden places, right? So you stay on your course, you know what your guidepost is, you know what your pace count is, you follow it, and you will achieve. But we get
Hmm.
distracted. We get
Yeah.
we get bombarded with all these other things, and we lose sight of these things. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that, take a moment to just talk about the importance of having that guidepost so you can
Yeah.
always turn and look to it when things get a little difficult. What do you say about that?
Yes. Well, that's a profound example, Lee, that you
Yeah.
give on the mapping. And I love that term pace count. So when you map it out, you have a distance, you know how many paces it's going to take you to get there. That's profound. And I would say this by way of observation: when you find a true problem solver in life, someone who's really good at it, you've also found a person of principle. They
Mm,
understand principle. They've worked hard at developing. They have chosen a guidepost. They have chosen a foundation, a bedrock. and they study it intently. Go back to Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Euclid, the great minds of the past, all the way through to the scientists and the great minds that have shaped the world. They are people of principle. They understand the importance of it. So you can't go through life without it. You're going to fail. If you don't
Yeah.
have principle, you have no bedrock, you have no foundation, you have no guidepost, you have no North Star. And if you think self is a substitute for that, good luck
Mm-mm.
is all I could say. Good luck. Life is going to chew you up and spit you out. And I just hope you learn something as it does. So
Yeah.
I hope we wise up in this country. I hope we look back to
Yeah.
those bedrock foundational items that work for everyone. They work for all humans of all stripes. And those are the things you could build a life on. Not the latest fad. Tough fads
Not
come and go. They're fun for a little while, but you can't build your life on those things. So, yeah.
right.
So I would say all that. I would say the example you just gave is profound and very true. A
Yeah.
problem solving person will be a person of principle. That's a fundamental truth.
Absolutely. All right. So, from your years in credit and risk, this is for the
Yes.
families out there. What's one practical financial move that most families we just overlook it?
The first one, pay your bills on time. That is of high importance. It's easy to lose sight of that. And of course, that also means keep your bills at a level where you can pay them on time.
Right.
But an
Right.
important piece of life is credit. You want to buy a home. You want to get into some real estate. You want to fund a business. You'll need a loan to do that. It
Mhm.
possibly it. There are a lot of good things that come from credit. The most important aspect of credit is to have a good history, and that
Yeah.
means pay your bills on time. You're doing yourself an immense favor by doing that. And the second thing I would add to that for the financial well being of families, get married and stay married. The
Mm.
statistical results are crystal clear. You want better health? Get married and stay married. You want your children, your progeny to turn out better. Get married and stay married. You want more wealth, more financial success. Get married and stay married. It's all better. Everything in life is better when you find a partner, you make a commitment, and you keep that over time. That is far better. And the third thing, a
Yeah.
practical matter, would be buy a home. Stop paying rent,
Mhm.
buy a home. The incentives are just overwhelmingly in favor of, if you want to build wealth and gain equity over time, uh, pay yourself, buy a home. It's a very good investment. So those are the three
Yeah.
quick things I would say to people that you want to get better financially. Do those three things, and you will be better.
Yeah. Great, great, great pieces to take away from that one. Pay your bills on time is the start. That is the start.
Yes,
Actually, living within your means is probably the start. And then that
those
makes it
two go
easier for you to
together.
pay your yeah, that makes it
Yes,
easier to pay your
those two
bills
go
on time.
together. Yeah. This is the
Hey,
first one is the consequence. Yeah, and it makes you
yeah.
realize, okay, if I don't live within my means, that has long term consequences, and they're not good.
Yeah.
Not
Trust me,
good.
I went through some of those in my younger years, but well, most people don't, but a lot of people do quickly learn and make that turnaround. So pay
Yes,
attention, pay your bills, all right?
yes.
Now, how do you define a legacy of significance?
Legacy, very simply, it's what you leave behind. That's
Mhm.
very simply what it is. It's what you leave behind, and whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not, we're leaving one. Every
Mhm.
interaction, every discussion that we have with folks, there is a legacy left out of that. And I want mine to be those two things that I mentioned, that I love my wife, I give myself to her completely, I build a great relationship with her, and I'm an honest man. And I'll add
Yeah.
this, Lee, there's something that drives me through my entire life. There's a conversation, the most important conversation that I want to go well. That's that last one, that last conversation. When this
Mhm.
life
Mhm.
ends, I'm going to stand
Mhm.
before my maker, and he's going to ask me, what did you do with what I
Mm.
gave you? I gave you life.
Mm.
I gave you opportunity. I gave you abilities. I gave you talents. I gave you people around you. What did you do with that? I want that conversation to go well. That
Yeah.
marks me deeply.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Sometimes you forget about that last conversation. You're
Yes.
making decisions. That's another guidepost, right? That you need to
Yes,
stay
it
focused
is.
on, right? And it's actually a
Yes.
part of your original one. So, yeah, keep
Yes.
that in mind for sure. Uh,
Yes.
what eh, what if a listener feels stuck at a blue collar job but wants more responsibility? What's like 90 day? What's a 90-day plan that you'd recommend for them?
Okay, and I'm going to limit it to being in that job. Obviously, you don't have to, but you're in that job and in that company, you want to
Yeah.
advance where you're at. You shouldn't limit yourself to that. Think more broadly, but here's what you do in that job. And if you change jobs, this is what you'll want to do in the next job.
Hmm.
Understand the business plan, understand
Hmm.
what adds value to that company, and commit yourself to that in terms
Hmm.
of whatever skill it takes. It's going to involve leadership too. That teamwork will be a big part of it. If you can lead a team to execute on a business plan, that is of high value. There is great value. There is a ton of capital in this world that's looking for a return. It needs leadership. It needs people to
Hmm.
provide leadership. So you're setting in that job, you want to advance. So start asking yourself, what is our business plan? How is value added in this company? Commit yourself to that 100%. And it'll be a combination of skills and leadership, creating a team to execute on that plan. Now, if you start running into barriers there, such as, the company does not value people that do that, they're asking things that we just can't deliver. Well, it's time to change. You will
Yeah.
need to change companies, but you're never gonna know that if you just play around at your desk and you don't have a serious mind. And the way to get a serious mind is examine the business plan. What is driving value for that company? How do I add to that? How do I increase the value that comes to the company? That you're putting yourself in the very best position at that
Hmm.
point when you do that. Now, if that fails, that's extra information. You then use that to plot your career. But make sure you're doing your best and it's about the business plan. So it's back to my earlier point. It's the consumer that determines value. The production side of it determines cost, design, and quality. The
Yeah.
consumer adds value. So when you're sitting at your desk on the production side, you're going to ask, how are we serving customers? How is the customer seeing value for our product? That's how we get a return. That's how you get profit margin. That's what drives that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So now you are now in a position as that employee to be of the highest value possible for that company. Now, once you do that, you can then ask the questions. Is that the path I want to be on? Is it viable to be here? What is my best choice? What do I like the best? Where are my skills best applied? What skills do I need to add? You can then engage in your personal career development in a proper
Hmm.
context. But I'll tell you what we have today. We got a lot of whining, snot nosed brats that are sitting there with a sense of entitlement saying, pay me more. Well,
Yeah.
why don't you earn that, buddy? Why don't you earn that? The
Yeah.
company does not exist by magic. It's not some magic formula. They're earning every sale. They're earning every piece of margin. They're scrapping and fighting for every little bit of gain they get. Are you going to help?
Yeah.
Are you going to get involved and make that happen? That's your first obligation. Now you can start
Mm.
plotting different paths based on that. But we have a whole lot of people with a sense of entitlement that says, I don't need to do my best. If I have problems, it's someone else's fault. That's pathetic.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
pathetic. So get out
It's
of that mindset, make yourself part of the team, understand how value is added at your company, and give your very best. Now you can build from there.
I love that. You know what I really liked about that answer? The fact that you said figure out the business plan or figure out the value of the company.
Yes.
Determine your gaps, I guess, see where you're at,
Yes.
how you can apply that. But the most important thing was, is this even what I want to do? Is this
Yes.
even my purpose? Right?
Yes.
Some people we miss that part as well. And you get
Yes.
in, you do all the things, and maybe you're successful at what it is for that company, but you're miserable inside, right? Because
Yep.
that's not your calling, that's not your purpose. So to me, that's what I took from that one is
Yeah.
ask that question too. Once you figure out
Yes.
all the things you need to know about that company, now you need to ask the question about you.
Yes.
So I like that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's exactly
Go-
right. Yep.
I thought you're gonna say something more on that one because that was
Well,
profound because I was just talking to a person. I won't give the whole conversation, but in the end, we determined that we weren't a good fit for them,
yes.
right? And you
Yes.
can have those conversations. Like just because someone hires you doesn't mean you may be a good fit for the company, but the company may not be a good fit for you. And I
No
want
question.
everyone to keep that in the forefront of their minds as well. Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry,
would
Mark.
say it like this, Lee. It's very unlikely that a
Yeah,
single company is going to provide what you need over the entire course of your career. That the
absolutely.
likelihood of that is low. And it's just because of the competitive nature of business. A company is going to get into a groove, get into something that works, and they're going to pursue that to the end, and they should. Every company is free to choose the culture and the organizational realities that they believe are best. So I've never got hung up on, the company does this and I don't like it. I mean, in my mindset, the company has the right to create the culture they want, and
Mhm,
and what the
mhm.
practices they think are best. That is their right to do so. I honor that. And I also realize as I'm assessing that, I may choose not to participate. And that
Mhm,
happened a few times. I
mhm.
say, okay, I understand what you're doing. I understand why you're doing it. That's not for me. I have my reasons that I don't support that. I don't like it. Well, you don't cause trouble. You don't disrupt the team. That's the power of freedom. You are now free to move somewhere else, and you should. But I
Yeah,
do think I really like what you said, and it's important to note the likelihood that a single company will provide everything an employee needs over the course of their career, it's very low. It's
yeah.
not likely. So be prepared for that change. But what I would embed in everyone's mind is if you aren't doing your best in the job, you're cheating down first of all yourself. How are you going to
Mm,
know what's going on in that company if you don't commit to do your best? That's how you get the best information. You plug
yeah,
yourself in with a full on commitment to understand, to work, to do your best. You're now gaining as much information as you possibly can. Now you can use that to guide yourself, your career, your development, and it could very well mean a different company, a different venture, a different career entirely. It could very well mean that. But if you're not
mhm,
doing your
mhm.
best, if you're just a whiner and a complainer, you're not going to know. You're deceiving yourself. You're cheating
Yeah,
down. First of all, you're cheating yourself of the information that you need in that environment.
I tell you what, you say a lot of things, and I realize how much those little teaching moments the military instills in you. And as you were saying that, I was remembering doing more physical training, so doing push-ups, and we would do
Yeah.
timed push-ups. So as many push-ups as you can do for a certain amount of time. And one of the things they would tell you while you're doing it is don't cheat yourself.
Mhm.
Don't cheat
Yes.
yourself, right? Don't start creating things in your mind, blaming other circumstances and instances. This is your moment. You're in that moment. You talked about that earlier as well.
Yeah.
Do your
Yeah.
best. Just do your
Yes.
best. Don't cheat your
Yeah.
mind. Don't cheat your body. And you know what I'm saying? This is what they would tell us.
Yes.
And
Oh
in
yeah.
the end, you believe your mind is sometimes locked to progress because you're comfortable at a spot that you're at.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you can continue to get better,
Yes.
right? So that's one of my
Yeah.
hashtags. Just be more, right? Be more.
Yes, sir.
Do another push up. Do another, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
be the best that you can in that moment. And
Yes.
that doesn't mean compare yourself to someone else. I
Nope.
wouldn't compare myself to you, Mark, but I can still do my best you know what I'm saying? You
I
focus
do.
on you. You
Yes.
focus on the best that you
Absolutely.
can. So, yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Man,
Yeah.
you're really bringing some thoughts and some some memories back to me. I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
you.
a fact.
Yeah, but is there something that we didn't cover today that you'd like to share?
Man, you've covered a lot of ground, Lee. It's all
Yep.
very good. I would reiterate and state for your the benefit of your audience, what is your foundation? What do
Mm,
you stand on? It's very important. You need to think carefully about that and think deeply about that. It's a choice we all make. It's a choice that's in front of all of us. And you need to answer that question because it's going to determine how well you hold up in tough times. And storms are coming. You don't have that choice. You get over thinking life's going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. There are always difficulties. Life is a series of problems. What do you stand on? Is it up to a test? Is it up to a storm? I know my choice. It's the God of the Hebrews, the Almighty. More than up to the test, more than up to the storms. Everybody needs to make that choice. Think carefully about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. And where can the listeners go to learn more about you, your work, or connect with you? However we want to do this.
The first place would be the website. It's the title of the book, aworkingmansguide.com. Drop the apostrophe, keep the A. That'll take you right to it. Facebook, / Dr. Mark L. Teague or / A Working Man's Guide. 2 profiles there. Instagram as well, / Dr. Mark L. Teague. There's a lot of information there. I have several educational series that I'm into and various outreach work that we do. So I would send people to those social media sites, and the website has a lot of information. You can order the book right off the website, actually.
I love it. I'll make sure to post all of that information in the show notes. And thank you so much, Dr. Teague, Mark L. Teague. Like, we had this conversation before the show started. What should I call you? So I just want to put them all out there. But I really appreciate you sharing your story today. And we heard about how principled living, clear choices, and steady effort can create real value at work and at home. And once again, Dr. Teague, thank you for your honesty, your stories from the field to finance, and your practical lens on responsibility, resilience, and legacy. I just want to thank you for sharing that insight, sir.
Thank you, Lee. You're a great host. It's a great show. Best regards.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. And out there, if you're listening, take one idea, maybe a boundary to set, a habit to start, or a decision framework to try and put it into practice this week. And also, don't forget to subscribe to keep tuning in to Hindsight the Podcast for more conversations to help you be more on purpose. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, sir.
That's Hindsight.